What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. We're super pumped. Got a very cool guest. He was named one of the iMedia 25 Internet Marketing Leaders and Innovators, and also the founder and creative director at the Idea Integration Company. Please welcome Saul Colt. Salt, thank you for joining me. Yeah! Woo! Round of applause.
Yes, thank you for having me. This is very exciting.
Oh, yes. It's always fun to have someone on, especially when we talk about marketing,
Mhm.
because marketing is so broad these days. And when I talk to people that are specifically in that field, I love to talk. I love listening to where the industry is going, what trends are you supposed to look out for, and what that means for people as far as if they have a business or their personal brand.
Yeah, so I completely, way to start an interview, I got distracted by like a shiny object and I missed the whole question. So
Squirrel.
Exactly.
That's
So
okay. That's
you want me
okay.
to talk about personal brand and marketing, why it's so important?
Well, you know what? Why don't you just tell us a little bit about your background? I mean, then we can get into that. But I mean, I just
Sure.
feel like this is so relevant these days, and just because everything is about marketing and branding and standing out in the crowd. So, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll give you my background. I started my company 14 years ago after working for some very large companies and senior marketing roles. Started my company because I saw that there was an opportunity to do edgier marketing and do things that what people actually wanted instead of playing it safe. And that's sort of where I've built my career around, is taking, big chances, huge successes. We bat, about a 900% batting average on being right with our giant swings. And, I believe that, people have an appetite for what makes them laugh and what makes really, they want brands to connect with them on a different level. So our company is made up of alumni from Mad Magazine and The Simpsons. So we are professionally funny people, and we're not for every client. We like to push the limits. We like to really stand out. Our work really stands out. We're not for every brand, but the brands who like us get rewarded extremely positively by working with us, because our work is better than anybody's.
I love that. So you'd probably be more up my alley if I could afford you, because I'm a little bit edgier and I like to push the envelope a little bit, because that's just really like who I am authentically, And I feel when you're working with clients that are okay with that kind of work, they have no problem being who they really are.
Well, and I love that. It's really about being who you really are, but it's also, the world is such a noisy place right now. If you're not taking chances and if you're not trying to stand out, all your money is just being burnt up or flushed down the toilet, that you're spending on marketing. One of the things we do, as part of our process is we interview your customers. We get a sort of a temperature check of what they'll let you get away with. And then we find out where that line is, and we cross it by 2 baby steps. Because if brands are always just going up to the line, if they're always playing it safe, all their messaging is going to get forgotten. All their messaging isn't going to resonate, and you're playing. You're not serious.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I actually, so some of my side gigs or side businesses, I do social media content creation and marketing for a lawyer, an attorney's group. So one is just like personal injury, and the other one's for motorcycles specifically. And I had the unfortunate experience working with the marketing group for the personal injury, and they were highly unprofessional, very they almost bullied me in a way, and they were just very strict about certain things that I thought was very not relevant in today's world. Luckily, I don't have to work with them anymore, but it was just interesting that, you're talking about that. And I just feel like even for as a personal injury lawyer, I understand there's certain criteria that you need to meet as that image, but there's also a way that you could stay within today's times and today's trends to stand out from the crowd and not be so much in the box, because that's how I feel like their marketing was. It wasn't really speaking to today's world.
And obviously some brands, there's there's restrictions and there's guidelines and not really brands, but industries. And maybe personal injury is one of them. And, obviously like medical, there's things in pharmaceutical, you have to sort of play within the lines.
Oh,
but,
yeah, for sure.
but even personal injury, like you could do some really interesting, funny stuff. You do have to worry about credibility and trust and things like that. But, people, if you go through Los Angeles, there's billboards for personal injury every, 2 blocks, and there's one brand who does really great billboards. I'm blanking on his name, but like you do notice that. And if I were ever injured, I would probably call this guy because like picking someone to work with in any field or picking a product is really an expression of yourself.
Yes.
The clothes you wear, fashion is the greatest expression of your identity.
Yep.
The kind of car you drive, all these things, you want to see yourself in brands. And there's a lot of brands who have forgotten that and don't invest the time and energy to actually make themselves a brand that people want to be a part of. You never want to be a utility. You never want to be something that people use because they have to. You want to be a brand that people like crave, desire, and talk to. And those are the brands that we work with. And those are the brands that we build.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay. So the show is called Label Free Podcast. So I
Yes.
really believe in, not allowing those labels to define us and instead just living more authentically myself and not like having to just adapt to any of those. Right. So when it comes to something like that, people that might be listening to the show or, people that are really embracing my mission or my message, what would you say, like if they had a personal brand or a business and they're just trying to live like this label-free lifestyle, and how would they go about marketing themselves in that way? Like what would be the mindset that you would recommend?
So and I've listened to a couple of your podcasts and I love the idea of label free, but I internalize label free as a different way. Okay. So label free, the way I internalized it, and it's a little different, and I am going to answer your question, but I love labels. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't love labels per se, because I'm not brand loyal to many companies, except for maybe like Nike. I'm very brand loyal, but I love self-expression.
Yes.
And I wear a lot of inappropriate t-shirts. Some of them have swear words on them. So I'm not promoting like the Gap. Yeah. But I'm promoting who I am. Sure. Because I am living my true authentic life. And I am, so I see that as really being authentic. And, and the other way I internalize it is really being human.
Yes.
And I see brands, there's a lot of brands who ignore humanity. They forget that they're dealing with humans, and people are unpredictably irrational at all times. And, you have to give them something that they want to embrace and give them something that they want to be a part of. And that could be a label, or it could be a feeling, or it could be an emotion, or it could be something. And, when brands, but man, like, if you meet somebody and they're the most beautiful male or female you've ever met in the world, but they're boring and not bright, they're not as attractive as that person who you could talk to all night long and makes you laugh and tells you funny stories. And brands forget that. Everyone tries to be the beautiful man or woman in the room, where like you should really be character driven and personality driven and be that authentic, human, embodiment of a company. But brands are afraid to do that because, brands aren't allowed to make mistakes.
Right. Cancel culture,
but they don't realize that humans are allowed to make mistakes.
Yeah.
So when you put a human face on something, you get a second chance or a third chance and stuff like that. And being human doesn't mean swearing and stuff like that. But, showing some kindness and showing that you actually care about things goes a long way with people. So it's like, I like Nike because, when I was younger, I was a competitive tennis player and they sponsored me, but, because they sponsored me, I learned everything I could about the brand. And then I realized that this was something that spoke to me and was meaningful to me. I don't have a feeling like that for a jeans company or anything like that. So, but man, I wish I did, but nobody speaks to me like that. So, in a sense, like there's different hierarchy of what's important and what isn't important to me when it comes to being label free. But I love the idea of it, and I love the notion of it. I interpreted it a little different than you did.
No, I love that. And that's why I have these conversations, That's why we're here today. What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. We are getting ready for Father's Day. So today I thought I'd surprise my dad and my honey with some gifts from one of my favorite companies. Before I tell you, we're going to let them unwrap it. Dad, why don't you unwrap yours first?
Okay. Are these all new products,
yes,
Deanna?
All new.
Wonderful. And we have deodorant, body spray, lip balm. We have 3 pairs of the Manscaped boxers, which
2.0, mind you.
Thank you so much, Deanna. I just love this.
Manscaped.com. Use code LABELFREE20 for 20% off free shipping. But wait, we're not done. Babe, want to open up yours?
Ooh, I got a cool, sleek-looking razor. That's awesome. Some crop gel, which is for down there, and some crop exfoliation to exfoliate down there. It's gonna be interesting.
Just like the boxers, this is brand new for them as well. So they've just launched this. So you guys are like the first ones to start getting some of these new products.
I got the gold ones and I got the black ones. There you go.
Oh,
there you go.
Look at those.
Beautiful. Look at this. It's really cool.
I love it.
Yeah,
those are
cool.
So score on the Father's Day gifts.
Yes. They've outdone themselves.
All right, you guys. You have a happy Father's Day. This is Deanna with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Use the code LABELFREE20 at manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping. It's interesting that you said authenticity quite a few times here. And I actually just got invited to be on a panel with, her name is Lyra Kay. She's worked and coached with a lot of celebrities that are going through recovery and stuff like that. And so she's created like trends for the future. And we're talking about like what it's going to be like to be famous in 2050. Like, what does that look like? And I, and that was kind of like my idea, like what kind of brought this up. And I just said, celebrity means something different these days, because I feel that an audience, whoever that audience is, whoever that person is really looking and starving for that authenticity of that celebrity person, right? And so when you say that about a brand, I think that people are hungry for things to be authentic again and to really feel that with their branding message, so that to connect with them, because I think people are so disconnected because of the last couple of years and all this division and everything that's gone on. And I personally think that why my show has been so popular and the message has been so well received is that I am being authentically myself. I want to hear those authentic stories, and people are just resonating with it so much. And so I just feel it's very interesting that you talk about that, because that's something that has really been in my head for a while, and that I've really seen with my audience and in people in general.
So playing off of what you just said about celebrity, during the pandemic, at the height of the pandemic, the strategy a lot of companies took was just scale back all their advertising, play it safe, try not to be out in the world and just sort of coast. Imagine if a brand like a Ford Motor Company or Porsche or Mercedes, whoever, like a tier 1 top 100 brand actually put out, a message. It's like, man, this fucking sucks.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Like, yeah, like that is actually what people want. That is what people will connect to.
Yeah.
The reason, because
it's real. It's real. That's what most people were feeling.
Whether you support or didn't support Donald Trump, a lot of the reason he was able to create a groundswell of people was because people felt he was authentic.
Yeah.
He was speaking, their language and stuff like that. And, brands that there's so many reasons brands should do it. But the only reason they don't is really fear.
Yeah, well, right, because there's a fine line, and I have this conversation. I know you talked with Julie. There's this fine line within our society where we want that authenticity, but there's also this cancel culture. So if you don't try to walk that line in a way that's not going to create that cancel culture and that domino effect to happen, but and also being authentic at the same time, it's a very delicate balance. So when do you have like not naming any names, I guess, but do you have
John?
John?
John.
Who's
Hate
John?
that guy. I don't know. You said don't name any names. Go on. Sorry.
Oh no, now you're being fun. So your t-shirt is lying, and we're having tons of fun here.
Yeah.
So do you have an example of a client that you worked with that has wanted to push the envelope a little bit that has been a successful marketing strategy for them?
Yeah, every brand that we work with, the point of working with us is to push the envelope. When we interview brands at the beginning before we start working with them, we explain the type of work we do, and we explain the way we do it and why it's successful. And if brands aren't interested in doing stuff the way we work, then we make introductions for them to people that would be a little bit better suited for them and in their comfort zone. We don't like entering projects where we're going to be frustrated and the client's going to be frustrated, because there's enough work out there. We could be way richer if we just took every project and did mediocre work for people, and they'd be happy, but we wouldn't be happy. So we're very selective about who we work with, and we're a smallish team, 29 people. So we don't need a million projects on the go to pay all the bills and stuff like that. But we won't enter a project knowing the work is going to be ordinary and frustrating.
That's good. That's great. Well, I mean, that at least you're sticking to your beliefs, your values, and because I think a lot of people will just take what they can get instead of sticking to like what their foundation is of their organization. So I think that's awesome. Do you have like maybe a popular type of campaign that you did that people would know that you could share with us?
Well, so a lot of our stuff is out in the world. We were the first company to use skywriting to advertise a cloud-based product. So first company to use clouds to advertise cloud-based software product. We've done hundreds and hundreds of things that has gotten tons of media attention. The through line, if that's even the right word I'm looking for, of all our work has really been, we get a lot of attention for deserving brands, and I like to say we make good brands great and great brands unforgettable. But the way we do it is we figure out what the goal is and we work backwards. So it's really easy to do shiny stuff that gets a lot of eyeballs. But if your goal is, more customers, more revenue, whatever, we work with that first and go backwards. So the skywriting was more about getting media attention than getting new customers, although it did get a lot of new customers because of the media attention. But our goal was, what's a shiny spectacle that we could do that will get covered by national media? If someone says they're looking for new customers, we'll come up with a different idea that has a much more direct connection between the stunt and the marketing and the actual sign up process and things like that. So, like, what have we done? We've done skywriting. We've done, Tupperware campaigns for a company where we sent out 1,000 Tupperware packages for people to have parties in their house selling a software product. They invite all their friends over.
That's cool.
Get them to sign up in their house. We've done we've done block parties. We've done national tours where we've driven from Los Angeles to New York.
Get out of here. That's
hosted
neat.
dinners in every stop along the way. Like the list of things we've done is endless. And honestly, I forget most of the stuff we've done because once it's done, it's off the list and it's on to the next thing.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I'm sure. I'm the same way. So we're getting a little bit close here on time. What is your criteria if there's someone's listening and they're an entrepreneur or brand and they're like, oh, wow, I really love what Saul has to say. What's the criteria that you look for when working with the brand? I know you've kind of mentioned a couple things already. But if someone's to reach out to you, what would that look like if they were to engage your organization?
So the main things that I use as a barometer of whether we would have a good time together is, are they comfortable with risk? And are they comfortable with risk? Are they looking for something really great? And are they okay with taking chances? It's like what we do is very calculated. So I don't even say that it's risky if you work with us,
Yeah,
because we
sure.
deliver. But like there's going to be some times where you're going to feel a little queasy about
Well, uncomfortable.
uncomfortable about our ideas. We've done fashion shows for a belt company where all the models were naked,
Ooh, I
men
like
and
it.
women. They're only wearing a belt, and things like that. Like we get a lot of eyeballs on our stuff because we really understand where that line is and how you get attention. So so the company has to have a bit of a stomach for risk. They have to want to really do great things, and they have to be a really great brand that kind of deserves our attention. I know that sounds sort of egotastic,
Yeah.
but we won't work with everybody because like it's we're a gift,
Yeah.
and we want to make sure it goes to only the best people.
I love that. Where can people find you, reach out to you, connect, and learn more?
So our website is theideaintegration.com. Or if you want to just connect with me, I am Saul Colt, SaulColt, all one word, pretty much anywhere on the internet.
Awesome. Okay, you guys, I'm going to put those links in the show notes, so don't hesitate to reach out. If you're looking for a marketing group and you're willing to take a risk, don't reach out to Saul and to learn more, or go to their website and just kind of see what they're all about. And so this is the part of the show where I always like to ask for any last words of wisdom or advice. Can be worldly or can be practical. So what would you like to leave with the audience before we say goodbye?
So I'm going to say, piece of advice that I've built my career on is, do great things and tell people. Don't ever be embarrassed to brag about yourself, and don't ever be embarrassed to share your accomplishments, because guess what? No one else is going to. It's so important for your career, for your mental health, for your self-worth to really brag every now and then about yourself, because, if you're doing great things, people should know about it.
Oh, I love that. That was awesome. So that's going to make it into, when I first start my series up, I'm going to take all my last words of wisdom and advice from my guests, and I'm going to start making audiograms and maybe even put it into a book. I don't know, because some of the words of wisdom are so great and it really resonates with me. So I hope it resonates with you guys. Saul, thank you so much for being a guest. It was an absolute pleasure. I love hearing the story. I love hearing your advice around marketing and telling people to take risks and being more authentic. The world needs more of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Please don't forget to follow, share, comment, rate, review, all that good stuff. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.